I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold.
This is where the fun begins.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Jedi Knights, the official Star Wars podcast of Joy Clicks. I'm your host, Christian Buckley, joined by my Chewie, Mike Connors.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here on this wonderful Star Wars day. Christian and I were talking earlier off pod about all the Star Wars stuff that we were doing today in celebration for May 4th. So it's a great holiday. We were saying it's basically a holiday.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Definitely.
So, yes, May the 4th be with you, Mike, and listeners, viewers, May the 4th be with you. Very happy on this holy day.
May the 4th be with everybody.
Exactly. Weesa free. Today,
Weesa free.
Today we will, of course, be reviewing the 70-minute premiere of The Bad Batch, running through all the juicy celebration and fun little things that came today for May the 4th on your 80th episode of Jedi Knights.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's nice though, because how many May 4ths have we seen together doing the show? Is it 2 now?
I think it's 2 now. Yeah.
Because we started originally like late 2019, so we missed that first one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we missed the 2019 May 4th. Honestly, like it's been something, I don't know about you, Christian, but it's been something that I've recognized forever, honestly. And it's just a fun little thing to have as Star Wars fans.
I was actually thinking about this a couple of days ago. I forget when. I might have been streaming or something, but no, I think I was doing a TikTok live because I was like talking about May the 4th week and Star Wars week. I feel like it happened at a certain point. Like, did May the 4th start in like 2011 or something? Like, I feel like I remember one day. It's like, oh, that's a funny joke, and then it became a big thing.
Honestly, yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, like, because halfway through saying what I said previously, I was like, I just remember this one day in like 2011, which is like so crazy. And then I was like thinking about it, I was like, well, I mean, there's no way that that was the first time. So I must have celebrated it before then too. But if you're saying that, then definitely this is like a Mandela effect moment.
Maybe, yeah. So
we need to do some research.
We
need to come back with like an absolute like presentation about the origins of Star Wars.
Exactly. Yeah. I wonder if there's a Wikipedia page. But
That's so crazy. I didn't say anything because like I just didn't want to come off and sound crazy. But I'm so happy you did, Christian.
Oh yeah, I'm right there with you, buddy. Speaking of though Wikipedia, we're gonna kick the show off the way we normally do with From the Jedi Archives, where Mike and myself pull a page, sometimes random, from the sacred Jedi texts of Wikipedia to educate each other on the expansive world and legends material of Star Wars and the audience. Mike, on this May 4th day, what are you presenting to us?
So I chose a random one, and it brought me to a page that I didn't end up bringing to the show.
Okay.
But it led me to this page. So I chose Bothan 5. So Bothan 5 was a New Republic correctional transport that carried prisoners of the New Republic. You may remember it from the Mandalorian TV show, the heist episode in season 1. I think it's like episode 5 or something like that. It's the name of that ship that they go on to rescue. Gosh, I can't remember his name. But that's actually, yeah, the Twi'lek guy. That's actually what it gave me. It gave me cell 211, which was like that guy's prison cell. And then I was like, yeah, that's kind of like niche. So I just like went with Buff 5. So that's what I chose. I thought that was just kind of cool. Cool name for it and everything. So yeah, prison ships.
Very cool. I enjoyed that episode more, I think, the first time. But it was cool. It's a cool little set piece of an episode.
It is. And we got, Miggs Mayfeld, Bill Burr for the first time in that episode. So thank God. One of the greatest Star Wars editions.
My page this week is a character named Brinn, Brinn. Now, I also went random. I did 2 refreshes because the first 2 I had were like nothing, no real information. But the image for this mic is too good. I recommend you look up the image for Brinn and then I will describe to the
BRIN.
audience. BRINN. I just want to see what you think, and then I'll explain
Is
what
this
I'm seeing.
Legends or canon material?
Legends articles, Alderaanians.
Oh no! What happened to him?
So Bryn is presumably dead on the ground on some icy bricks, just face
Yes.
down, spread out, dead on the ground. Bryn
R.I.P. man.
was a human male who served as groundskeeper of House Tehran during the Cold War between the Galactic Republic and the resurgent Sith Empire. When the House Tehran estate was overrun by Killiks, Bryn tried to use the insecticide mines until he was attacked by these insectoids. A Republic spacer was tasked by Alec Terrell to recover the insecticide mines from Bryn's corpse.
Who wrote this?
I don't know.
We need better Wikipedia editors. But yeah, interesting. Of course, this is from the MMORPG, Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Yes.
It looks like it would be from something like that.
Yes. Just like a dead body, you gotta go find something, bring it back to somebody. It makes sense. So.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. So R.I.P. He was one of the first Alderans to die.
Yeah.
Alderaanians to die.
Oh boy. Well, that
Wait,
is.
was that in Portes? No, I'm just kidding.
No, it wasn't. It's a fictional world. People clown the younglings dying, Mike.
This is true.
Those are children.
Those are children, yeah.
But
Slayer 9000.
That does it for the Jedi Archives this week. So why don't we dive into some of this May 4th information we're getting today. I think the most chunky thing, a follow-up to something we talked about on the show a couple weeks ago. Today, this was one of the first things I saw for Star Wars Day. Disney Parks released new info on the Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel experience that is coming next year. That is going to be incredibly expensive.
Oh, yeah.
But they gave a bit more insight on that, and they also released a trailer sort of thing, a teaser video, that showed the Disney Park cast member of Rey turn around, holding a lightsaber hilt, and igniting the lightsaber, and it ignited like a lightsaber. Now, Mike.
Yeah.
This was not a visual effect.
It was not a visual effect. It was a real life lightsaber. I mean, at least it looked like one for sure. It has like so important to note that we only saw half of like what we would expect a lightsaber to do,
yes,
right?
Like
so it's like it's to ignite and to retract. So we saw this thing ignite, which is pretty freaking cool. It just is a lightsaber hilt and absolutely looks like a lightsaber. I was impressed. Very impressed.
Yeah, because I think the thing with any lightsaber, right? Because I have like 4 crappy little like Party City lightsabers in this room, but I don't have a full-blown saber yet. I think the thing you always have to look for, at least in my perspective, is like I need to make sure the color's there, and I need to make sure that like it pops. And this pops.
It definitely does pop. I mean, if you look at the video, you could totally see the light emitting from the blade hitting the actress's face in a very realistic way.
Yeah.
I have to say, it's pretty cool. Do you think? So one thing that I noticed, her hand was very suspiciously like at the bottom of it. It almost looked like she was covering something up. Do you think this is like hooked up to something, or do you think it's like completely on its own?
I think it's on its own. I bet it's just probably honestly heavy. Like it seems like something that, based on that patent we talked about prior, like it's like a motorized tape measurer type thing. Like that blade probably is heavy. I imagine it's not something you want to duel with, because I think they already like downplay the idea of using the $220 like Savi's Workshop sabers for hitting each other. This one I bet you definitely don't want to do. I bet this one's way more fragile, but yeah.
I mean, it looks pretty fragile, to be honest. Do you also think it retracts? That's the question.
I imagine it does. Like if extending like that, I imagine I was in a couple engineer classes in high school. I imagine it does the same thing going back in, like just reversed.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But
So another thing, it said that this was for the hotel that's opening up in Disney. Do you think this is just going to be part of like an attraction, or do you think this is going to be something that you could buy?
so I was talking to one of my friends earlier, and they were like, "Hey, do you think that this is going to be exclusive to the hotel as a purchase thing? Like, if you want this, you need to go through the hotel." And honestly, considering that this is like a whole lot of Disney magic in this product, I imagine if you're going to that luxury hotel, that's your gateway to getting this luxury item,
Right, right.
So,
So you think that it would be something that you could purchase at some point,
yeah.
but you'd have to stay in the hotel. So it's like, yeah, you have to make sure that you're cool enough to get it, I guess.
Yeah, I imagine that's what it is. Like, I've said before on the show, like, I'm going to Galaxy's Edge later this year. This will not be ready for me. I'm not doing the hotel. Again, that's all next year. But they did not give any sort of hint of when this would become available. I imagine they're going to sell it because they could probably charge whatever the hell they want for this thing. And most Star Wars fans would probably want to buy it. Like,
for sure, yeah. Do you also think it makes sounds? That's another thing.
Yeah, it has to. If
it has to.
If they're going that far to make it so like look realistic and look the way it extends and retracts, if they're going that far already, it's probably already expensive. You might as well add like another $100 sound chip in there or something. Like, you might as well.
Yeah, you might as well, especially if you're trying to make all that buku bucks like Disney definitely is.
Yeah. So, honestly though, I'm surprised that we got to see it so soon after hearing the little press buzz about it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Do you think that's exactly what they saw, like investors saw?
I imagine so. I think it's probably a little different. Like, the description I think we heard said that like it was coming out of a box, not really a hilt. So that was probably an earlier prototype, and this is closer to probably what the final version is.
Yeah, yeah. It looks pretty legit. I think it looks pretty cool.
Oh hell yeah! If it was available, if it was under $500 and it was available in the park later this year, I'd probably buy it.
For sure. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing is like you probably won't be able to customize it to the extent that you can customize like Savi's lightsabers.
Yeah, like maybe like a pommel or like a switch, which is sort of already what Savi's does, but like definitely much more restrictive, I imagine. But
yeah, could you imagine having this as a kid? Like you were mentioning the telescoping like plastic ones that
Yeah, I got one literally in my desk right now, Mike. You hear it? Kylo runs.
Oh, of course. I mean, those are classics.
Yes.
But could you imagine having this as a kid? I couldn't.
Yeah, dude. Like, I mean, if I had it as a kid, it would have been broken by a month later.
So fast. Yeah.
That, though, I think is the major merchandise thing that has been brought up today. There is, I think, like, Sideshow Collectibles or something is doing a new Ahsoka figure, which looks pretty cool. Tons of sales going on.
Who's doing that?
I think Sideshow Collectibles.
Oh, wonderful. That's cool.
Yeah. That was the only other major merch announcement I saw. Like, I think the Disney website put up a couple like Spirit jerseys. I tried to get into the store earlier, but then I got put in a digital queue, so I'm gonna look later tonight. But tons of sales as well. There's a bunch of video game sales going on right now on pretty much every storefront. Did you pick anything up?
I picked up Jedi Outcast on Switch.
Nice, very cool.
Because it was $5 because it's on sale for Star Wars Day. So yeah,
cool. I have Episode 1 Racer in my cart right now. I'm thinking
awesome.
About it. So
you should. I think that's also on sale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It's like $7.50 on Switch right now. So
yeah.
And I watched the trailer on Switch, right? And because you can do the Joy-Con like split, like the Wii and Nunchuck, you can do motion controls for the pod racer.
I know. I was watching that today too. I went through all of the Aspire ports of all the Star Wars games on my Switch, and I was
Mhm.
just watching the videos too. I noticed that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
It's
a
like
neat little
it's
thing.
like Mario
Yeah.
Kart.
But in terms of other news for May the 4th, this came out within the last like 24 to 48 hours. The Bad Batch, a show that we thought was not going to get too much attention. You know, it seems like there's, or not attention, but like probably not that many episodes.
Yeah.
Just because the Disney Plus release schedule typically hasn't had much overlap. The Bad Batch, season 1, is getting 16 episodes.
Oh yeah. That's crazy. I mean, it's not that unreasonable though, considering like, how long the seasons were for Rebels and the Clone Wars and stuff. It's just you're right. Like these Disney Plus TV shows have been not over 10 episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think we were also trying to make it fit in the schedule because Loki starts on June 11th.
Hmm.
This goes, I believe, until like August now. So
That's so cool.
yeah.
I love that.
Because you imagine Bad Batch is going to run to August, right? And then not too soon after, we get our tease for the Book of Boba Fett series, you know?
Right.
So
So we're just getting more Star Wars than we even thought. So it's a great holiday.
absolutely. Much more stuff to talk about. It's going to coast us through the rest of this year. And of course, we'll get to the
Though I
Bad
don't.
Batch stuff later. But
Yeah, I don't think these episodes are going to be 70 minutes like the first one though.
no. I mean, if they wanted to, I wouldn't say
Yeah,
no. Like,
exactly. But it's
um,
not going to happen.
but yeah, there you go. We get 2 episodes this week, and then 14 more weeks after. So look forward to those. But
Very cool.
the last major thing I saw from the official Star Wars stuff today is Disney Plus got a pretty major makeover when it comes to Star Wars stuff this past week. Every single Star Wars like main series sort of project, like the Skywalker saga, Clone Wars, I believe Rebels got one, Solo, Rogue One, Bad Batch even. They got their own commissioned art piece from different artists to just have some fun little new art up on the main page when you select each project. So that's decorating every Star Wars thing you want to watch this week.
Yeah, it is really cool. I don't know if you saw the Rogue one,
Mm-hmm.
but it had a lot of really cool colors with like the neon, like teal almost and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Yeah, it's a really cool thing that they did. I wonder how long they're going to keep it there for. Some of them are really good, and
Yeah,
all of them are very unique.
yeah. Currently, right now, the Clone Wars one is my iPhone background. I'm showing it to the camera right now. We got Rex and Ahsoka up there. It looks very cool.
I don't know if I saw the Clone Wars one, to be
The
honest with
Clone
you.
Wars one's very cool. It's Rex, Ahsoka, and Maul from like season 7. It looks very cool.
Okay, interesting. I'm gonna actually just like look at it really quickly right
Go
now
for it.
because
But,
Disney Plus on the phone and everything.
mm-hmm. Uh,
Uh,
it's a
oh, I
cool
was just
initiative
gonna.
though.
It is really cool. I was also gonna say that I really enjoyed the Empire Strikes Back one.
Yeah,
Um, anyways,
I like the Last Jedi one as well because it's like Kylo and Rey back to back in the throne room, and honestly, I kind of liked the Rise of Skywalker one more than the official poster for Rise of Skywalker.
no, yeah, totally. I'm looking at it right now. It looks pretty cool, to
Like
be
that
honest.
Palpatine in the background.
I know, yeah, it's cool. It's very cool. Who is that though? Is that because it looks like who's the person that they find on the planet and she's riding all the horses and stuff in the Rise of
Oh,
Skywalker?
I
Forget
forget.
her name.
Mhm.
But is that her? It looks like her in that Rise of Skywalker art.
It could be, yeah. They all have a nice little group shot for everything, so I
Yeah.
appreciate the art. It's cool, and I did actually notice it. I think I noticed one of the things because they put up the main May the 4th banner a couple days ago. Because over the weekend I watched Attack of the Clones with Kayla.
Nice,
So,
nice.
yeah.
Thoughts? Much better? No.
I still enjoy watching that movie a whole lot. Like, the whole time, again, I was waiting for it to get like terrible, trash, even bad. I was like, so when does this get like bad? When does it get bad, bad, abhorrent, terrible? And it never did. It got better.
No.
You know, we only went up. So
Yeah, man. I mean, I've been saying it. I think it's a good movie. I'll say it. Go to the grave saying it.
yeah, I don't think it's great. It's not bad. I don't even know if I'd say it's good. It is good. I
It's good.
think.
I think it's good. I would say it's a good movie. I would say Attack of the Clones and The Rise of Skywalker are not good movies, but that one is. Phantom Menaces.
Wait, no, sorry. I watched Attack of the Clones.
Oh, I thought you said you watched The Phantom Menace.
No, if I did, I misspoke. I watched Attack of the Clones.
Oh, maybe I misheard you. Well, I'm sorry. Attack of the Clones is a bad movie.
I don't think it's bad. Like, I also don't know if I'd say it's good, but because of the nostalgia and the love for it and the ending, and genuinely, I think a lot of the character motivations I buy way more, and everything makes more sense because of Clone Wars. So maybe that's part of it too. But
Yeah. Yeah, definitely Clone Wars adds like a different lens to it for sure. But yeah, no, totally.
um, but yeah, that's what you're looking at for Disney Plus right now. If you're looking to revisit any projects, but there are new projects that were added today.
Pretty
Three
cool.
specifically. I'll run through the fun ones first, and then we'll talk about the Simpsons thing.
Okay.
So, Star Wars Biomes. This is I believe, 18-minute video that is like a nice little tranquil drone flyover of a bunch of different locations in the Star Wars universe. Like, I think there's like 5 or 6 in Biomes. There's stuff like Hoth, Tatooine, Ahch-To, Mustafar, and it's just a nice little flyover of this environment. And then for each little location, it's the sound effects you'd expect of the area. In the
Yeah.
background, you can see some small little things. Like on Tatooine, there's some dewbacks. Like, very neat.
Yeah, on Tatooine, like you fly over R2 and C3PO,
Mm-hmm.
like just wandering the desert, and you hear like R2 chirp.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. It sort of like reminded me of like Planet Earth or something like that. It's just
Yeah.
very zen.
Mm-hmm.
Something you would just like want to fall asleep to, I feel.
Yeah, and I know Disney Plus did stuff like this recently. Like they did soundscapes or something like that, or imagescapes. There's like a Finding Nemo one. I think it's like an hour long. I'm pretty sure that you can just have on your TV. Um,
Yeah.
Now, I want them to speak to our friend of the show, Jack Martin, who I believe said that he, around the holidays, uses a like 4 hour loop of Vader's funeral pyre as a Yule log.
Yeah. That's the best Yule log, dude.
Yeah. Take notes, Disney Plus. Honestly, holiday season, get on it.
Yeah, I mean, you could just like you already have the footage. All you got to do is just loop it a
Exactly.
thousand times. Yeah, no, I really thought this was cool. I didn't expect it at all.
Mm-hmm.
It is very peaceful,
Mm-hmm.
except when you get to Mustafar, though.
Yeah.
Then it gets a little dicey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But so I was wondering, how do you think they did this? Do you think it's like they must have this must be like CG in some way, right? Like just like completely computer rendered or what?
I imagine it is either that or they took like stock footage from locations where they did shoot the movies of just like drone footage and then like added their little CG set dressing. Um,
Yeah.
Potentially. Like I was skimming through it because I was trying to get ready for the show. And I
Mhm.
wanted to just see what they had there. And I know they end on Ahch-To. I didn't get to watch it, but the way they shoot Ahch-To in Last Jedi I think is beautiful. So like if they had just spare footage and just threw it there, that'd be
Yeah.
incredible. But there's a very fair chance that it's exactly what you said. That's just pre-rendered CG.
Yeah. I mean, it looked amazing.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that that would be a bad thing because it looks great. It's just I was curious as to how you thought that they did it. I thought it was I was thinking it was probably a blend between like
probably.
unused footage and just like regular stock drone footage, like you said. But yeah, I loved it. I thought the crate looked really cool. I don't know if you saw that, but it was
I
like,
didn't.
oh, it's so cool.
Mhm.
It's like from the sky, and like you could see the red streaks that are made on the white. salt and everything. It's very cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. In addition to this, in a similar vein, we also got shorter videos, about 3 to 4 minutes, I think. It's called Star Wars Vehicle Fly-Throughs. There's one for the Millennium Falcon, and there's one for an Imperial Star Destroyer. Now, I only watched the Millennium Falcon one, because, again, I was getting ready for the show. But basically, it's just some nice screensaver-looking panoramic views of the exterior of the Falcon, all the different pieces, like the turret,
The sound effects.
the dish, the sound effects, seeing the ignition burnout, and then the interior as well. So again, seems like something you'd see on loop at a Best Buy for the TV section, but it's still pretty cool.
Yeah, that's exactly the vibe. Wow, you really just hit the nail like right on that. Well, okay, I'm gonna ask the same question that I asked for the previous one about this one. Do you think this was just like pre-rendered and everything, or
Like the exterior, probably.
yeah, definitely the exterior. I almost thought it was like Uncanny Valley in a way. Where I was
Yeah.
like, there's something off with this. Like,
Yeah, you nailed it. I think the exterior is definitely pre-rendered, definitely like a CG model that they just toyed with. And the interior, I'm a bit more questionable on, though. I can pull it up right now just to give you a more updated sense. But, I imagine the Falcon hallway is probably in a storage unit somewhere that they could have just shot
yeah,
something on.
that's what I mean. Yeah, like they have sets of all this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
so they could have easily just done that. I just wasn't sure because like that's what I mean. When I was watching the exterior shot of the Millennium Falcon, I was like, this looks a bit too nice,
Yeah.
like a little bit too shiny to be in this like docking bay
Yeah.
on Tatooine.
Yeah, I'm looking at it again right now. I definitely think the exterior is CG, like we're saying. The interior, though, yeah, it looks like it's actually there. And I imagine, because after a production is done, they usually strike the set, they just like break it down. So it's probably not like one they just decided to roll into. This is, again, probably leftover footage, but it was a cool idea. I'm glad they did this.
You think they would break down the set for like the Millennium Falcon every time? I feel like they would just keep it, right?
I mean, as far as I know, with Hollywood productions, they usually just break everything down, and that's why some people take some stuff, you know.
Gotcha. I
They have
mean,
to
yeah.
rebuild. I think when I watched a documentary, I think on the original trilogy, they also talked about how like they had to rebuild, or maybe it was like a Harry Potter behind the scenes thing about like rebuilding a certain location was like terrible because they lost like the documents on like the scale of everything, so they just had to redo
Oh,
it.
that sucks.
So thank
Well,
God for the digital age.
right. Totally. Well, I thought this was really cool. It's just like an interesting thing. I want them to do more of these fly-throughs, though. It seems like that they will because they release this like as a season with episode.
Hmm. Yeah, so I would love
So
to see more for sure. But, the third fun little thing that got put up for everything today is a Simpsons short special. It is a 3-minute long, brand new Simpsons little skit called The Force Awakens from Its Nap. A joke that I feel like we've heard since that movie came out.
yeah, I think the full title is Maggie Simpson
Hmm.
in The Force Awakens from its mat.
Thank you.
Uh, did you watch the whole thing?
I did. It was only 3 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you
What do
watch
you
it?
think? Yeah, I did.
Okay. I thought it was cute.
It was a little dumb.
Yeah.
I mean like it was cute. I thought some of the jokes were pretty funny.
Hmm.
I mean I've always really liked The Simpsons, I guess, like and I don't know if you've were ever like into watching it or anything, but
Yeah,
the humor is good.
I loved Simpsons Hit and Run, the game.
Great game.
Yeah,
Great game.
truly great. And like
Yeah.
Simpsons movie, I watched 2 episodes here or there, but when Disney Plus came out, I like watched the first couple seasons, and I do really like the humor a lot. But yeah,
Mhm.
and I know that team is like a huge Star Wars fans, right? Like
Yeah.
they love Star Wars, so yeah, it was cute. It was like Maggie went to a Star Wars daycare. There were a bunch of little baby versions of different Star Wars aliens. Ahsoka was there putting like
Yeah.
misbehaving babies in cryo sleep timeout. Like there was some
Yeah,
funny stuff.
that was funny. They used the carbonite as the timeout.
Yeah. And then she gets into a duel. So
she gets into a duel with that's a character, that's like a recurring character, I think. I just forget its name. Looked like Darth Maul though.
yeah.
I thought it was funny when, are we spoilers
Yeah,
here?
it's 3 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was funny when, like, that antagonist sort of like pulled the bookcase down on Maggie, and the guy pulled out his phone to look at Disney stock, and it just like went all the way down.
Yeah, that got me real good. That was funny.
Yeah. That was pretty good. I like the self-deprecating humor.
Definitely. So that, though, is everything official that's been released. The Star Wars Twitter account, all the Disney socials have been popping off today with, retweeting people who have worked on projects before, lots of concept art, stuff like that coming out. So the day isn't done. There could be more. This episode is releasing on May the 4th, recorded on May the 4th. So, Mike, do you have any thoughts of other things that could come out of today, or do you think this is basically the gist of it?
I think this is basically the gist of it. I think over the next week we may see like more merch drop. I think that's probably reasonable. But I don't. In terms of major announcements, I think right now, for transparency's sake, it's 4:50 p.m. on the East Coast, and like I think if anything were to have been announced, it would have happened already or will happen imminently. I think the Bad Batch coming out and everything, and just like building the hype around that and then just like Disney Plus in general and like future projects, it seems like what Disney and Lucasfilm are trying to go for this May 4th. I mean, I would love to see some sort of like tease from an upcoming project or something. I feel like that would be really cool, but like I said, we would have seen that already, I believe.
I think you're right.
I was hoping we would get, something from the Lego Star Wars game too, but who knows?
And worth reiterating, we are on the East Coast, so like we're on a 3-hour delay. The work day does not end for another couple hours for the West Coast. So Lucasfilm is a California-based company, so we'll see. But I'm with you. I feel like it'd be strange to just drop some major thing like right at 5 p.m. West Coast time.
Yeah, I mean, like that's a fair point, Christian. Like, I guess there's still a possibility, but they're, they know that their fans are not just in the West Coast too. So they were planning for East Coast time and everything. I feel like we would have known about something by now. But I've eaten my words on this podcast before. So with just our luck, Christian, next week is going to be the real May 4th episode with all the stuff that we missed.
Sure. But overall, pretty solid May 4th, because we did get a chunky piece of Star Wars content that we're going to get to after this next segment. But Mike, there have been some more rumors in the Force.
There always are.
So I believe after last week's episode, there was a rumor that came out from some YouTuber who I was unfamiliar with, but apparently has some history with Bethesda. They were saying that there's another Lucasfilm property that is being turned into a game over at Bethesda in addition to Indiana Jones.
Well, that is something that doesn't seem so unreasonable to me. It is interesting though that it would be Xbox exclusive, allegedly. I feel like for a Star Wars game, like you wouldn't want that type of exclusivity. You would really be like shuttering some fans out, which is not what you want to do.
Sure. I do think though, we did see earlier this year Lucasfilm sort of created the Lucasfilm Games banner and decided to be like, hey, the EA contract is no longer binding, like there's more stuff coming.
Yeah.
And seeing Disney, how they've handled games so far, specifically with Marvel games, we got 2 Spider-Man games, presumably many more coming, that are only on PlayStation. Spider-Man is... There was an updated like study, and like based on Google Trends, Spider-Man is the most popular superhero on the planet Earth right now. And that's exclusive. So I would imagine
Okay.
Disney would probably be okay with one of many upcoming Star Wars projects being tied down to one place.
Okay, I guess when you put it that way, it seems a bit more reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess like just on like my gut reaction is just like, why would you make something that's so popular? You know, what like why would you limit something that's already so popular?
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, in a similar vein, you and many other people probably won't have to worry because the way Xbox handles pretty much everything, if it's exclusive to Xbox, they mean like on consoles because it will come to PC as well. So,
right, yeah. So yeah, so I guess like it wouldn't be that exclusive because if anybody had a PC, they could also just download it.
exactly.
But this is cool because a lot, and thinking about Bethesda and like their track history with their history with games and everything. They're very good at creating open world sort of adventures with like really good storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I thought when I heard that they were making an Indiana Jones game, I thought that was really interesting because I had played some earlier ones back in the early 2000s, and I thought those were cool. And I've said this before, like I think Star Wars has a is as an IP is just like made for video games as much as it's made for television. And it's kind of a shame that we haven't gotten what I would expect from like such a rich intellectual property. So I would love to see Bethesda, make an Xbox exclusive game. I would imagine it'd probably be like RPG-ish sort of, but I don't know.
Sure. So, in addition to that rumor last week, there was also the rumor that there was an Xbox exclusive Mandalorian game in development. That came from a Reddit post, which had less credence than somebody who's been right about Bethesda stuff in the past, and it was unclear if these were both independent projects or if the Bethesda IP or the Bethesda project was this Mandalorian game that would be an exclusive to Xbox.
Mhm.
But today, via Jeff Grubb on Jeff Grubb's Jeff Grubb's Game Mess, a show that he does pretty much weekly, I think at this point. Jeff Grubb, for those unfamiliar, predicted the Mass Effect collection remaster that got announced last March. Predicted the Mario collection that came to Switch in September. Has gotten a bunch of dates correct for like presentations in the games industry.
He's an industry insider.
Yes, Jeff Grubb. When Jeff Grubb says something's coming, I will. At this point, I believe him. So, the context is laid there. He gave some commentary on his show today that sort of reinforces these rumors that broke last week after the episode. Namely, currently Lucasfilm is making deals for multiple Star Wars games, which makes sense,
It's kind of what we thought.
Exactly. After the Lucasfilm Games announcement came out, it was like, okay, well, they got the Ubisoft one. They got this Zynga game. Presumably, there'll be more.
Yeah.
He also said Microsoft could be working on an exclusive Star Wars game, backing up the rumor from last week. Also, yet to be seen, but he did say that we may get Star Wars games on Game Pass today, May the 4th.
Interesting. Yeah. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Still yet to be seen on that one.
So,
Uh, well, that would be neat. I mean, what do you think that then Bethesda is making this like long rumored Mandalorian game, or do you think that it's going to be separate?
I imagine because like Bethesda's owned by Microsoft now, so it would
Yeah.
technically be an Xbox first party game, no matter what, even if it wasn't exclusive, which I imagine it would be.
Mhm.
I don't know if I see a world where Xbox gets two exclusive projects, maybe out of a contract, right? Like simultaneously, maybe this opens up to sequels or something. But I imagine if this other what other Lucasfilm IP would Bethesda be working on, right? Like American Graffiti, like what else is there?
True. Yeah, I'm trying to think. There's not many.
Like
Well, they got
Willow
that.
or
Yeah, I was gonna
something?
say the thing with Warwick Davis.
Yeah.
Who knows?
So, but yeah, I do think, regardless, you and I, since season one, we've wanted a Mandalorian game, right?
Yeah, it's Mandalorian or like some sort of Mandalorian bounty hunter game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it doesn't have to be Din Djarin, and I don't think the rumor is insinuating it will be Din Djarin, but a game about a Mandalorian, you know.
Yeah. Would be cool if it were Din Djarin, you
It
know?
would. Hmm. So, but yeah, like thinking about the studios Bethesda has, right? Like, I imagine it would probably end up being like, I don't know, the people who maybe make Dishonored or something, because they do stealth well, they do hunting things well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I, I really have no idea. This is kind of all news to me.
Hmm.
I'm not really one to speculate. I don't know. I feel like I'm not qualified.
Hmm. Well, regardless, I do think it is exciting. Hopefully, we get some announcements this year. You know, E3 is coming up, so maybe we will see a new Star Wars project. But yeah, exciting things to keep an eye out on. If you don't have an Xbox and you like Star Wars, you might want to look out for those, maybe.
Or at least by, Game Pass.
Yeah. So the other major thing I saw, Mike, over the last
Yes.
week, there are rumors that there are multiple animated Star Wars films in development at Lucasfilm right now.
You said films?
Yes, films. Multiple animated Star
Wow.
Wars films.
Cool.
Now, in addition to that, one Matt Lanter has been in the news, making some comments about returning to voice Anakin Skywalker. I pulled this from Star Wars Newsnet. The direct quote says, "There's some new Lucasfilm animation going on. I've been part of some things I can't talk about yet. You'll see Anakin again. I never quite put Anakin down, whether I'm doing a video game or something new for Lucasfilm Animation."
Yeah, I mean that's not surprising. I feel like, these characters are larger than life, and it would just be like a good business strategy for Lucasfilm and Disney to continue sort of making stories with like Anakin and Obi-Wan and
Mm-hmm.
Ahsoka and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. Like maybe not even Ahsoka, just like Anakin and Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka like has her own stuff. This isn't surprising to me. I just wonder, like, I didn't know they were going to make films. That's the interesting part to me.
Mm-hmm. So the films thing is a rumor, but considering he says I'm uh, a part of some things in his quote, like multiple. Do we have a game and a movie or something? Like, what's going on here?
He does mention a video game. He doesn't have
Yeah.
to.
Right? Like, I imagine he was the voice of Anakin in Battlefront 2.
Sure.
But, like, Battlefront 3? Or a Clone Wars Battlefront spin off? Or what?
Well, I know, like, the rumors about Battlefront 3 have been popping off lately.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't really want to bring it to the show because it didn't really seem like we could hang our hat on it to be fair. But like, yeah, people are saying, I think because like Dice is working on like Battlefield 6 or something right now,
Mm-hmm.
right? They were saying like after that they were going to be working on it, and like some guy had allegedly leaked, I don't know, like 3D models of Coruscant and stuff like that. So hey, it could happen. It could happen.
Yeah, I'd be stoked, I would love if Battlefront 3 was next year. I feel like that might be a little ambitious, but Battlefield
Mm.
6 will be this year, so we'll see what happens with Battlefront. But in terms of Matt Lanter doing another project, where does your mind go immediately, Mike? Like a new Clone Wars thing, finishing the episodes that never got finished, or maybe a Clone Wars version of Revenge of the Sith retelling, or like what's up?
That would be cool. I mean, I think we were having this conversation about last year, around last year when we were thinking about the final few episodes of the Clone Wars season 7. We were thinking that maybe they would redo in some way Revenge of the Sith, and they kind of did. They told stories concurrently with that. Um, what my mind goes to is like I think Lucasfilm and Disney will probably just continue to create Clone Wars stories. That's basically just like a gold mine. You don't ever really you never really have to stop. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's just endless storytelling within that period, and these characters never really die. Matt Lanter coming back to voice Anakin. That's kind of like where my head goes to. It would be cool though to see, Clone Wars style Revenge of the Sith. I would love that. Please, let's do it.
Yeah,
Um,
man. Like,
because honestly, in the first opening sequence of the Bad Batch,
I
there was
know.
like, yeah, there there was like on they were on they were rescuing the Chancellor for like a brief second, and I was like, they're not gonna go there, are they?
Yeah.
But
They keep teasing Revenge of the Sith in this style. That's why I keep bringing it up.
I know
They keep
they really
teasing it.
they have to do it, man. They really should. It would be so cool.
Yeah, and like I understand not wanting to just remake it because, Revenge of the Sith is already canon. That's how that story happened, Like why do that
Mhm.
again? But for funsies, like
Literally,
like
literally.
we'd all know that the movie is still the canon thing, but like if you had an option to maybe bring in George and really just expand his vision for whatever that like 4 hour Revenge of the Sith cut would
Yeah,
have been and tell it across like a limited series in this style. We get to see Matt Lanter and James Arnold Taylor's performances in the Battle of Hero. Like, dude, that'd be pretty cool.
yeah. And like I don't know, you can almost like you can even like interweave it with some of like the Siege of Mandalore stuff, and like redo some of that if you wanted to. Or honestly, like it was so good to begin with, you could just splice it right in there.
Yeah.
Like, uh, I think somebody had. I don't know if you ever saw this on YouTube. Somebody put together a cut of Revenge of the Sith, like spliced together with the final arc of Clone Wars, and it was very cool to see that like kind of told in that way. I have to send it to you. I don't know if you've seen it.
I heard about it. I haven't seen it though.
Yeah,
The one other thing I'll throw out there because, you know, multiple animated things and rumored to be in development, I would also be interested because again, Matt Lanter wanted to keep exploring Anakin. We got like a 10-year gap, Mike, between episode 1 and episode 2 that is completely unexplored. I always
that's
forget
true
about
too.
that.
Yeah, that's true too. Um, yeah, I mean, just like maybe getting some of that early like Obi-Wan Anakin relationship building, and just like it would be cool to see Anakin like go through the trials and like become a Jedi.
Yeah. Because I genuinely always forget. Like, people have a problem, with like the year jump of Rey's abilities from 8 to 9, right? Like, Anakin was. It feels like Phantom Menace
Yeah,
exists and then
yeah,
2 and 3 exists. That's how it feels like.
yeah. It's like talk about a time jump
Yeah.
between episodes 1 and episodes 2. Like Anakin gets nice with it, and there's no explanation.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is an explanation. You have to sort of factor in the fact
It's
he's
time,
getting.
yeah.
Yeah, he's getting some good training at the temple.
Yeah, but like, what the hell happened in those 10 years? Like, 10
Yeah.
years is a
No.
long time.
Have you ever read Anakin and Obi-Wan, Charles Soule's limited comic run
I have not.
about like yeah, it's very interesting. It takes place between episodes 1 and episodes 2, and it just goes it follows Anakin and Obi-Wan on like some very inconsequential mission, to be quite honest with you. But it's just cool to see that relationship in its like very novel stage.
Yeah. I mean, if we ended up getting a series about the two of them in Anakin's training years, that'd be cool too. So whatever Matt Lanter is doing, I'm excited that he's back.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I believe that brings us up to the discussion that will be bookending pretty much probably every episode for the next 14 weeks. The Bad
Literally, yeah.
Batch, the premiere, episode 1, Aftermath.
Okay. So they called it Aftermath. This is officially a Clone Wars sequel, right?
Yes. Like,
Yeah,
it
it has to be.
it opens with like it opens up like the Clone Wars just stopped. It really does, right? Like they don't miss a beat. Literally the introduction, we get the same narrator
Yep.
like
Yep.
going over
It's
the
the same
events.
style.
And it introduces it with the Star Wars the Clone Wars in red, and it burns away to say Star Wars the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
And the title of the episode as well that shows up in like the Star Wars credits font that just says Aftermath in red is exactly what happened with the final 4 episodes of Clone Wars Season 7. It was that font, that color on a black screen. So, like,
Yep.
maybe the first, like, 10 minutes of it are more dedicated to that, of this is immediately following up the Siege of Mandalore arc, but the rest of the episode is dealing with the repercussions of those 10 minutes, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it happens like Order 66 happens like within 7 minutes of this starting. I was like kind of confused because I guess getting into the episode, like we start during the Clone Wars. They say like General Kenobi just engaged Grievous on Utapau, and you're with Depa Billaba and a bunch of clone forces, and it feels like the Clone Wars for sure.
Yeah, it was very cool. Before we get into details, though,
Sure.
in case people are Warriors spoilers, general thoughts.
Fair enough.
What did you think of the episode? What do you think about the series going forward? What's up?
So I thought it visually was very beautiful. You could obviously tell that they put a lot of time into it. I feel like it's still in the same style of the Clone Wars animated TV show, and so I really like that. But I feel like as they do it, like they just like refine. In terms of the story and everything, I'm really interested in exploring this time period. Like immediately after the fall of the Republic, like how did the galaxy sort of react? And I think doing it through the lens of these characters, the Bad Batch, Clone Force 99, and like the predicament that they find themselves in it's really interesting. And I thought that this episode set up like it was a good foundation for what I see is an interesting season for sure.
I agree. I was very excited for this because from their introduction in season 7, I was just fully on board with the Bad Batch. I thought they were super cool. I love like elite squadrons of badass Star Wars soldiers, like anything like that. Even in games, like when there's a really tight group that just can read each other really well and they're working together, running ops, like that is so cool. I love that so much. So seeing that come to Star Wars with the Bad Batch in their arc in season 7, I was like, hell yeah. So I've been just excited since they said they were getting their show, and it delivered for me. Honestly, exceeded expectations in certain avenues too, and I was already super hyped for the show. But I thought they, like you said, they laid some foundation. There's some interesting mysteries, some surprising emotional depth out of the Bad Batch that did not seem like it was present in their arc. Granted, they weren't the focus in Clone Wars Season 7, but yeah, I loved the episode. I can't wait for Friday. So
yeah, I thought whoever the writers of this show, I thought did a really good job sort of very quickly attaching you as the viewer to each of these each of these soldiers in Clone Force 99. I mean, I think it's interesting how they're all supposed to, like, they're clones, right? So they're supposed to be the same, but like they give them such depth, like you were talking about, and the fact that they were able to convey that so fast and sort of like bring the viewer on with them. Like I don't know, I just thought it was really good writing for sure.
yeah, because like the only one us as viewers of the Clone Wars had a big attachment to really was Echo,
Right.
But in the span of these 4 episodes with them before and now 70 minutes with them today, like I'm really on board with all of them. I really love all the members of this group. They're all great.
Yeah, you could totally tell like they each have their own personalities. They're very well fleshed out. Like, and it's only been one episode, and I really enjoy that for sure.
We can start getting to spoilers, but do you have a favorite of the group?
Do I have a favorite? I really like Wrecker. I just think he's like really dumb. He reminds me of gosh, what's that Guardians of the Galaxy guy?
Drax?
Yeah, he reminds me of Drax.
Big Drax energy.
Huge Drax energy.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
I mean, I was the boring kid that loves Leonardo out of the Ninja Turtles, so I'm a big fan of Hunter. I think he's super cool. I like him as a leader. He's very level-headed, very compassionate, pretty badass. I like him.
Yeah, he's also has like an insane flow.
Yeah.
He's got crazy hair.
Yeah, dude looks like Rambo.
He
Honestly,
does look like Rambo.
he's so
Uh,
cool.
that's another thing. I really like how they're all very visually distinct
Hmm.
from one another. They did a good job doing that too. And like they've done that with in the Clone Wars and everything with all the body paint that they did to
Hmm.
differentiate the different clones. But here it's I don't know, it's just very well done.
And I don't know if this is a thing. I assume it is, but is D. Bradley Baker doing the voice for all of them?
I think so.
Yeah, because there's enough variation between them too that it is also lending to their personality, and a good chunk of the episode is dedicated to just exploring the idea that because of their mutations that seem like they were intentional at this point, Clone Force 99 is pretty different from each other and from the regs as a
I love that.
it's so good. But
Yeah, it is interesting though that they did touch on that. I always thought like, oh, were they just like mutations or something? But it does seem like it was intentionally done,
mhm,
creating this clone force.
sure. So let's talk a little bit more about the introduction because we do get a new Order 66 scene. Um,
Yep.
Now, the internet was super excited for this scene, Mike, because this Padawan that we see is none other than Kanan Jarrus.
Yep. Or as his real name is Caleb Dune.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and yeah, it was interesting to see him in like his youth, I guess. Uh, he's very. He kind of reminded me of Anakin in a way.
Yeah, when he rolled up initially, when he like slid down the snow incline, I was like that immediately. I was like, is that Cal? And I was like, no, it's not Cal. That doesn't make sense. It's not his master. It's not Cal. But
True. Yeah.
no, I thought it was really cool, and it was. I think like Freddie Prinze Jr. did the voice there. He was just going for youth, right? But yeah, great performance. Like seeing him lose his master, the reaction was like really intense, and like it was a great
So
scene.
intense. Yeah, I mean, it just was unexpected, but it worked so well,
Yeah. Mhm.
and it's really great how Star Wars is getting to a point where like they can just sort of like weave in and out of these different stories like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, I did hear from some people who are more versed in the expanded stuff than I am that this scene sort of retcons some of the Kanan Last Padawan comic.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
this might be a first instance that we've seen in a major way of Disney retconning its own storytelling through literature with on screen.
Is it though? I mean, we saw the whole Siege of Mandalore was told differently in the Ahsoka book.
Fair enough. I haven't read the Ahsoka book, so I can't comment. But
No, yeah, I haven't read it either. I just know that it was like, and when that came out, when that came out in the Clone Wars, people were like, "Oh, so I guess like the book isn't canon anymore."
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, but regardless, that sort of sets up the entire conflict of the episode. Plants a wedge in the Bad Batch between Hunter and Crosshair, which I thought was pretty interesting. I think when you introduce a split in the group like that, it could get old fast. But I was on board with their whole rivalry and their difference of view on everything because Crosshair, we learn we were kind of right. The Bad Batch, because of their mutations, they're not affected by the inhibitor chip
Hmm.
because their coding is different enough that it just doesn't line up with them. So they do have their own agency still, and when Order 66 is commanded, I like Wrecker. He was like, "What does that mean?" Like I heard that too. Like I just ignored it. Like what is that?
I love that. Yeah. So I guess is it confirmed that like Crosshair was just sort of doing it on his own volition, like trying to kill Kanan, I guess, or just like
So
follow orders?
I think in the scene later in the episode when they're amplifying his inhibitor chip, it's his mutation. I guess wasn't drastic enough to fully get rid of the inhibitor chip. Like there was a small influence it had on him. That's why he said "good soldiers follow orders," which I thought was like,
Yeah.
uh,
True.
um, yeah. So because of that, again, we don't know how Crosshair would act without the chip. I assume we might see that happen later in the season. That might be some motivation for the Bad Batch to get him back on board. But what do you think of that whole character arc with him?
I thought it was interesting. Like you said, it's a good way to sort of get the viewer to know the characters too when there's like a split between them because they sort of have to take sides and you understand like their personality and like what they stand for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I thought that was very cool to just see Crosshair and Hunter get at it in that way.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I did think was interesting, and I'm kind of going to skip ahead, like so that they end up going to Camino and seeing like Emperor Palpatine make his like famous speech where he transforms the Republic into the Empire and everything, and they like run into like this girl who's on Camino, and it's like later confirmed that she was like also part of Clone Force 99. That was just an interesting sort of turn of events, I guess.
Yeah, so we have this new character, Omega, who is
Yeah.
she's a young child who was popped up in, I don't think the initial promo, but like there was a point where we're like, oh, we're dealing with a kid also.
Hmm.
And seeing a child in the marketing material
Mandalorian vibes, man.
also gave me a bit of young Boba Fett worry of like, this could get old fast. But thankfully, I really liked Omega. I thought Omega was really good.
Yeah. She can fit through very small holes, which comes in handy when you're trying to get out of a holding cell.
Exactly.
Um,
So, like you said, it is revealed that Omega is a member, technically, of Clone Force 99, in that she is also a genetically modified, potentially enhanced clone of Jango Fett.
mhm.
Now, Mike, I have a theory.
Yeah.
We see there's this young girl, no real background, because she's a clone. Presumably, we don't know how many people when she was created, but like, let's just say, because she's a new clone or something like this, she's similar to Boba Fett and she's aging normally. What if?
Possibly.
What if, Mike? What if Omega is Captain Phasma? Go with me. Go
Interesting.
with me. We see
Okay.
we see the Bad Batch. They're throwing it on their own, right? Who knows what the hell's going to happen where they end up pledging their allegiance. Seems like they want to be rebellion, but they could get screwed over. They're clones. They have short lifespans. We don't know what's going to happen. I could see a world where because Omega leaves with them at the end of the episode, Omega is trained by them, becomes very capable as a warrior,
Yeah.
becomes very trained. She's got that accent, little blonde kid. She's got the villages like accent, like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Phasma, for some reason, wearing this silver gray outfit with red and black garnish on it. What if this is Phasma's origins, and by the time she gets Captain Phasma'd, she's wearing that red and black cape as like paying tribute to the Bad Batch that raised her?
That would be so cool,
Right?
Christian. It would make a lot of sense. You're connecting all the dots, and now that's my headcanon background for Omega. So
Right?
thanks.
So again, I know Phasma has like some origin already. Like I think there's a Phasma
Yeah.
book that's like she was a warrior on some like Mad Max planet or something. But like,
Yeah.
who's to say this isn't where she was before she ended up there? Like we don't know.
I mean, yeah, it wouldn't be the first time, like we discussed earlier, Disney retconning their previous work
Sure.
to make something work. I mean, it would make a lot of sense, right? Like maybe at some point, the Bad Batch gets betrayed, or like, they, something bad happens, and she sort of gets a bad taste in her mouth, and turns bad.
Yeah. Who's to say?
Who's to say? It could be, what ends up happening. I hope so. It would give a very lame character a very interesting background and
Mhm.
sort of save her in a way.
Yeah, I think that would amplify Phasma a whole lot. And yeah, it would explain why she's different from the other stormtroopers, and like I think there'd be a lot of interesting stuff there. But again, that's all speculation, fan theories,
Yeah.
headcanon stuff.
Yeah. But a great headcanon nonetheless. That is very, very intricate. I love it.
I'm glad you're on board with me.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
But we did get a new look at another returning character this episode. A couple, actually. Let's start with Saw Gerrera, because the Bad Batch, after they get back from, their Order 66 mission, gets sent out by Tarkin because he wants to test the clones, because he's like, we don't need a clone army. The Emperor doesn't need clones. I have a thing against clones, which, again, I thought was interesting, sort of explaining and clarifying how the cut happens between clones versus stormtroopers. But because of that, he wants to test the Bad Batch, sends them out to deal with some separatists. Little do they know, the separatist brand has changed from droids to people who don't want to live under an empire.
Yes.
And they meet Saw Gerrera there.
He does. So this is sort of a continuation, actually, of an arc in the Clone Wars, right? Because we do get a bunch of clones. We do get an arc in Onderon, which is like one of my favorites, where Saw Gerrera basically pleads with the Jedi and the clones to help take back Onderon from, I think, like internal insurgents or something like that. And he does. Well, Saw Gerrera and his insurgents sort of like gain power back on Onderon, and I get obviously with the Empire taking over, that doesn't last for very long. So it's kind of cool to see that continuation.
Yeah, and that's sort of where we also get the big division with Hunter and Crosshair, the most of following orders versus what's right. But it was cool to see him again. Every time he pops up, it's like, oh, nice, good to see you're doing all right, man.
Yeah, being a space terrorist.
So everything with Tarkin, though, because Tarkin is sort of the looming presence of this episode. Seeing Tarkin again, what was that like for you? Seeing his characterization and setting up the future of the Empire, basically.
Honestly, as somebody who's watched Rebels all the way through, it wasn't as striking because he is a pretty big character in Rebels.
Right.
And I think he's also in the Clone Wars, isn't he?
He is, yeah. But just, I meant like following up, because in Clone Wars, I think his main thing he did in Clone Wars was the Ahsoka arc of leaving the Order. That, at least with what we talked about, that was like his major influence. But seeing him back again here and setting up the explanation for the clone stuff, I thought was cool.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. I mean, it's cool because like you're not gonna have Darth Vader or Emperor Palpatine kind of giving all this exposition, and so it's a good way to sort of bring a character everybody knows and sort of flesh them out in another way too. Yeah, Tarkin's a bad dude, and he likes to mess with people, so it's very interesting to see him sort of be characterized in this way. I liked him in this episode.
I did too. It was also nice. We talked about this, I think, in the last time there was a trailer for Bad Batch, but seeing them run the training course again was fun. Looking back to like the OG episodes of Clone Wars, seeing them have to deal with the simulations and all that was fun.
So when they switched to live fire, when they tried to really turn the heat up on the Bad Batch, so those droids sort of looked like the ones that like the Dark Troopers in The Mandalorian, didn't they?
They did, yeah. The face for sure looked very similar.
Yeah, so that's something that I wanted to point out.
Yeah, I wonder if this is like an early version and they just get streamlined in time.
Yeah, possibly. It was just interesting to see that for sure.
Yeah, I really liked that too. Lots more insight into the Kaminoans as well, the cloners, seeing their whole stance on it, just like, oh, we were, all this the Star Wars political trade discourse of like, oh, we were promised to be making these for for infinite amount of time, and they're like, oh, well, I've altered the deal,
Yeah, I think the line was like, oh, we were contracted with the Republic to do this, and Tarkin's like, yeah, the Republic's not a thing anymore. Yeah. So I just thought, yeah, that was cool. And it sort of gives a little bit more insight into like a very a very long thought about Star Wars question ever since the prequels. Are the Imperial stormtroopers in the original trilogy still clones? And that's sort of like some light is sort of shed on that in this episode, because Tarkin makes a passing comment saying how it's just plain old cheaper for the Empire to use a conscripted force than cloning an entire army. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and it makes sense of why they become terrible shots, because
Exactly.
they don't have the enhanced Jango Fett scopes, But like, I think we've talked about this before. I think we've had this discussion, right? But like, as a kid, I definitely, at least in my head, was like, okay, by the time A New Hope happens, the clones are mostly gone. So
yeah, you thought so. I mean, there was always that thought that like maybe. But yeah, I guess it's just cool to see that be answered in that way.
Yeah, because we definitely, even if there is some carryover at this point, we know there's going to be a cutoff point, right? Of like,
yeah.
If they stop producing clones around now, almost immediately after Revenge of the Sith, clones live what, like 10 years, maybe a little longer.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, we got 20 years before A New Hope. By the time A New Hope rolls around, there's probably no more clones left in that army.
Yeah.
So.
It's a pretty long gap, so for sure.
Yeah, but definitely interesting just seeing that explained and answered. Because again, it is one of those long-standing. What do you feel about this? It was much more up for interpretation, I think, in the past.
Yeah.
But other than that, we did get a lot of just cool sequences to build the characters and set up what we're doing in the future. The end of the episode, Wrecker, Tech, Hunter and Echo leave Kamino in their ship with Omega just to sort of escape. I think Hunter still wants to try and fix Crosshair, so we'll see that in the future. They did mention that they would have loved to just run away, but because Crosshair's after them, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And I do really like that, honestly. Like, the idea of the Empire stealing one of them, essentially, and using the one that is the sharpshooter, the assassin, basically, to hunt them down. So he's like, he knows every secret they have, he knows every tactic, he knows everything, and now he's on their tail. I think that's a super cool thing to just throw out there for the rest of the season, because it's constantly an urgency now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's just good. It's a good method of sort of showing like what these characters are and like what their I don't know, like deep down beliefs and stuff are. So it is interesting to sort of do that, because normally when you're trying to set up a new batch of characters for a new TV show, you kind of want them all to stick together, but this is definitely out of left field, but something that I think is going to serve the show in the long run for sure. It's definitely already telling a very compelling story, so I'm interested.
Definitely. And at the very end, they do mention they're going to, I forget what planet they said, but they're going somewhere to try and find somebody to help them. He's like, I know a guy.
Yeah, who do you think that is? I have no idea.
I don't know. Like, I think they want us to think it's Rex, but like, would any of them know that Rex resisted the order? I don't think they would, right?
No.
Like,
they wouldn't. They would think he's a reg,
Exactly, yeah. So, but like, we know Rex is going to be in play at some point, but I don't know how they'd make that connection immediately.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I guess we're gonna have. I don't know. I was thinking Rex, but like, it seems a little bit too. It's probably some new character, honestly.
Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see. But
yeah.
Was there anything else that stood out to you from this episode that you want to bring up, talk about, or final thoughts?
Not really. I think we kind of covered it. I'm just excited to watch the rest of it, and I'm excited that we have 15 more episodes of this to go. That's a huge move. I'm wondering if this is going to be sort of told in arc styles like the Clone Wars. It doesn't seem like it at this point. It seems like it's just going to be episodic going forward, but I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too, and we don't have to wait too long because this Friday, brand new episode. Now,
Hell yeah.
ooh, you know what? Now that I think of this, if there's 16 episodes, I don't think they would do this. But what if they did Tuesday, Friday every week? Because then they wouldn't be overlapping with Loki.
They would not do
I
that.
don't think they would. But man,
they're going to try to stretch this thing out as long as they can.
as they should. Well,
Yeah.
we of course next week will review episode 2 of the Bad Batch along with any other news we that came out after this recording for May the 4th. But
Yeah.
Mike, until then, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Mike P. Connors.
Very nice. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and TikTok at Shuntd2. Tonight I'm going to be streaming myself building that Boba Fett Lego set that you see in the background of this shot. I'm going to be building that pretty soon.
Yes, sir.
So that'll probably either be still going or as a VOD at this point. But you can also find this show on youtube.com/joyclicks under the Jedi Knights podcast playlist alongside all of our other podcasts on the channel. You can also check the show out in audio format on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, your service of choice. If you enjoy the show, it would be greatly appreciated if you left a review or gave us a star rating, preferably 5 if you enjoy it, because it does help us. And, it's May 4th day, so we're just all celebrating Star Wars together. And if you want to get involved further, patreon.com/joyclicks is where you can go to support the shows at the $1 and $5 tiers. $5 gets you producer credit on this show and every show, like Chris Sakas and Aaron Easton. So thank you very much. And that is going to do it for 2021. May the 4th be with you. So,
May the 4th be with you.
yeah. Until next time, we're fine. Everything's fine. How are you?
May the 4th be with you.
Oh, yes, you're right. Beep is up.